Hey, welcome to EMS Ballistics. Today we're going to do some 9mm defensive ammunition testing and see which one is going to be the most effective in a life or death situation. So today we have some Hornady Critical Defense, Winchester Defender, some 6-hour V-Crowns, the Monarch Full Metal Jackets, jacketed hollow points, the Federal Train and Protect, American Gunners, and the newer Browning BXPs. And we're going to be using a Smith & Wesson M&P Shield 2.0 9mm. Alright, let's go ahead and look at the specs and the advertised ballistics of each round. This is the order they are going to be shot as well. So, we have the Hornady American Gunner. It's a 9mm 124 grain XTP, and it's a plus P load, so got a little extra punch. They claim 1,175 feet per second. The Hornady Critical Defense is 115 grain, so it's a little bit lighter. It's an FTX, and they claim 1,140 feet per second, and that's a standard pressure load. The Monarch 9mm Luger, these are very inexpensive. They're just a jacketed hollow point, but we put them in this comparison because they're so readily available and they're super cheap, and if they perform well, then hey, why not? 1,132 feet per second. Now, I'm not going over muzzle energy because only a few of these have them on the box, but these show 351 foot-pounds of muzzle energy. Next up, the Winchester Defender. This is what I carry personally. It's 124 grain plus P, and it's a bonded bullet. These say 1,200 feet per second and almost 400 foot-pounds of energy. These are the SIG V-Crowns. These are pretty good. They're jacketed hollow points. They claim 1,165 feet per second and 374 foot-pounds of energy, 124 grains. These are Federal Train and Protect. I know these are stocked at Academy Sports, so this is where I picked these up. The advertised ballistics is 1,180 feet per second, 356 foot-pounds of muzzle energy. And these are 115 grain as well. They're on the lighter side. This is the one I'm most excited about trying, only because I've never shot these before. They are a heavier bullet, 147 grains. The BXTs, the BXP. Ballistics show 1,000 feet per second and 326 foot-pounds of energy. So, we're going to set up some denim and ballistics gel. And I'm going to have to put an ice pack on the bottom of this ballistics gel. Even though it's clear ballistics, it's a little bit over 100 degrees out today, so we're going to have to keep the ballistics gel nice and cool. Okay, let's take a look at the setup over here. So here we have our denim material, which acts as a barrier like a shirt or pants or, you know, whatever. But denim is what's mainly used in FBI spec testing. Then we have our clear ballistics gel, which is not very clear at the moment because it's so cold. So essentially what we want to see here is full expansion through jean material. Obviously, we want to see the hollow points open up and fold back and fully expand without clogging, hitting the denim material. Because a lot of times when you have a bullet, even a hollow point that'll hit jean material, if it's not properly engineered, it will clog up the hollow point hole and just continue to sail through, and that's not what we want. Ideally, since it's being a 16-inch gel block, what we want is to enter the jean material without hitting the backstop, or with it hitting the backstop but just barely. Ideally, the perfect round would probably go through the denim and stop about here with full expansion. So let's see if we can get one to do that. Okay, first up we have the Hornady American Gunner. All right, let's take a look at the wound channel and see how far it penetrated. Okay, here's our wound channel. Started to expand about 3 inches in, and it did expand, and it may have bounced against the backstop. That's a great round right there. Awesome expansion and no over penetration. Okay, next up we have the Hornady Critical Defense, which is one of my favorites because it has a like a soft polymer insert in the tip that helps prevent clogging, so expansion is always uniform. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, remember what I was saying about textbook perfection? This is it. Look where it stopped. That is perfect. That's about 12 inches of penetration with open expansion. That's awesome. Now after this is over, I'm going to dig out each bullet and compare it to its original size. Okay, next up on the list is the Monarch 9mm jacketed hollow point. Very inexpensive, not too much technology into the bullet, but let's see how it does. Okay, here's our 9mm Monarch entrance and our wound channel. Wound channel is not too bad actually. Came in and it did expand. It looks like a piece of the jacket broke off here. And there's our bullet that started poking out the side. But here's the problem, is that it went way too far. The jacket separated and the bullet is stuck in the wood. Okay, next up, my personal favorite, the Winchester, I guess they would call it the PDX-1, but they're just Winchester Defender plus P, 124 grains. But I've never done this test with them, so they might not be my favorite anymore. Alright, let's check out the Winchester wound channel. Here we have our entrance for the Winchester Defender. The wound channel is right at the bottom, so it's a little bit harder to see. Let me see if I can come around this side. Yes, okay. So, entrance, upon impact, started to expand, and then we flip around to this side. And there's the bullet at the bottom. Right there, that's the Winchester Defender. So you follow the wound channel back in its track, and it expanded pretty well. And really good penetration, about 13 inches. Maybe, yeah, so looking good so far. Okay, next up we have the Sig Sauer V-Crown, which Sig makes some pretty quality firearms, so let's see how their ammunition does. Okay, let's look at the Sig. Here it is at the bottom, right here. So it went all the way to the backstop, so it came in through the denim and stopped right there, about 15 and a half inches of penetration. Looks to be fully expanded, so cool. The real story from these bullets is going to come when we cut open the gel and pull each bullet out and compare it to its original form. Alright, we got 2 more to go. The Federal Train and Protect and the Browning BXP. Okay, here we go. Federal Train and Protect. Alright, Alright, let's check out the wound channel on that Federal Train and Protect. So here's our entrance, and it's right there on the bottom. And penetration wise, it went just a little bit shorter than the critical defense from Hornady, about a ½ inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch shorter. The wound channel is actually really good. It's actually really good. You can take a look on the on the slow motion of when it enters, but that's actually really good, really decent. Okay, now for the final bullet. It is the Browning BXP 147 grain. This is the one I'm kind of most excited to see because I've never really seen much information on it. Let's take a look. Okay, well, our first disappointer, the Browning, the one I was most excited about. Hit our denim material, had a wound channel out, and look at that. It didn't even expand at all whatsoever. Full metal jacket and came out sideways. So let's dig all these bullets out, and then we'll take a look at what they looked like originally to what they look like now. Okay, before we get to the final results, I want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel, shared the videos, stuff like that. We can't thank you enough. Also, the Hootie Hoo channel, go ahead and go over there, show him some love, subscribe to that channel, check out his videos. He's got very similar stuff. I'll put a link in the description to his channel, so go check him out. Now, let's see what we got here. So, I've lined them up in the order that I think they performed the best, okay? And I'll show you why here in a second. So, the SIG V-Crowns. This is how they start, right? As a, normal looking hollow point with a little bitty hole in the center. This is how they flower. They are fantastic. The weight that they retain, the way that they are, can this focus? Focus. But the way that they expand, they just leave these nasty little talons, and it's such a uniform expansion. Very beautiful, and the penetration was excellent. Okay, next up is the Winchester Defender 9mm plus P. Now this is my personal carry round, and I've always carried this because look at the talons this thing leaves behind. The expansion is always very uniform, and the talons are just nasty. So they will do probably the most damage out of all of these as far as permanent wound cavity. So yeah, there's that. And then the Hornady Critical Defense. Now, this could also be argued for first and second place. Because of the fact that they use that soft polymer insert, they hardly ever fail to expand. Because if clothing or whatever pushes on that polymer insert, what it does is acts as like a hydraulic force, and pretty much it has to expand. So as far as reliability, repeatability, the Hornady Critical Defense is probably the best out of reliability. Now, they always expand every time, very uniform, but they're just tiny. That's why I've got them in third place. You can see the difference here in the expansion size of the talons and everything else. Now, so they are fantastic. They are fantastic. But I would put these two ahead because of the permanent wound cavity that these things leave behind. And that's what you want. You're trying to stop a threat. So you have, you know, the awesome reliability, repeatability of the Hornady Critical Defense. However, these two will cause a lot more damage when they do impact. Now, onto the Federal Train and Protect. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this bullet beating the American Gunner. But the Federal Train and Protect, I've shot these a lot, and I've had 0 failure to expands. And the size, this is a 115 grain bullet, right? Let's compare to the Hornady Critical Defense 115. Look at the size of the expansion. Every time it's like that. These things just hit really hard, penetrate nicely. They're not very uniform, they never have been, okay? But they don't jacket separate, and they just mush and, you know, fly open. So they are a very nice bullet and extremely affordable. Okay, on to 4th place, the American Gunner. Now, there's nothing wrong with the American Gunner. It's a beautiful bullet, but it has the same drawback as the Critical Defense in the fact that it just doesn't open very much. You know, you can see it's very similar to the Critical Defense, except minus the polymer insert. They're very, very similar. Probably the same bullet, just minus the polymer insert. So, you know, same thing. You'll get more repeatability out of this than you would with this. These are a little bit more affordable. So there's that. But the Monarchs, these are just terrible. They are great for training and shooting, target practice and stuff like that, but in a defensive situation they are pretty much a full metal jacket. I mean, they will expand, but that's their expansion rate right there. That's it. It's always been that way with these things. I've never really cared for them. And this is the biggest disappointment of all, the Browning. Now, this is not the bullet that was stuck in the piece of wood that failed to expand. This is another one. 2 in a row from this bullet failed to expand. And I mean, you think it's got a pretty cool looking tip in there with a little X, a little cross in there, but yeah, terrible. No expansion. 2 in a row, just clogged and failed. So, good target practice bullet, I guess. So, one more time. Here's the opening of the original bullet. And the expanders. All right, thanks for hanging out with us today. If you want us to do a video like this with any other caliber, let us know. You know, 380, 45, 40 cal, 10 millimeter, whatever your personal carry is. If it's not 9 millimeter, let us know, and we'll go ahead and try to make another video in different calibers for different ammunition. So check back next week. We're gonna have another awesome video. We love coming out here. We love shooting. We love making these videos for you, especially when they're informative like this. Could save your life one day. So come back next week, check us out, you know, hang out on the channel, check out some other videos we've got. Stick around, and we'll see you next time.